Okay, so welcome to our Tarot for Shadow Work series. Now, the reason why I decided to do this recorded series for everybody to watch back when you're ready is so that we can have a tool in our toolkit for the healing grounds, so that when you are doing your shadow work and when you're working with the things that come up, or you're wanting to explore the things that come up in circle, or ideas that come through all your journaling, then you've got a tool that you can use to delve into the things that you're just not quite sure about. These are for the things that you might think you just need to know a bit more. You want to uncover a bit more under the surface stuff, the things that have been hiding that you've repressed down to a point where we can't remember them anymore. So the reason that I've got tarot for shadow work here is because tarot is one of my favorite tools for shadow work. We've talked about journaling a lot. We've talked about sharing our stories in circle and processing what we're feeling, meditating and meditating on our feelings and sitting with the emotion and being present in our bodies and present with everything that's going through us. But what do you do when you don't know the source of where this is coming from? And that's where tarot comes in. So I would really, really love to support you to be able to use tarot as a part of your rhythm of self-care ritual, to be able to do this. I do it on a weekly basis to be able to get in touch with your needs and what's going on under the surface for you and what you need to be aware of. So let's get into that there. What are we going to talk about? This is a bit about me. So I'm Dania, your host and guide for tonight. So most of you already know you, of course you do. I've been reading intuitively since I was a teenager. So I got my first deck of tarot when I was a teenager. I was collecting oracle cards at that point as well. But at first I tried to read tarot as a teenager, and it was really, really challenging. It felt really complicated. It felt like it required a lot of my attention, and I put it in the too hard basket for a bit. I really feel like I wasn't really ready for it at that point in time. And I stuck with the oracle cards and reading messages through different means rather than the tarot. So then once birthing into motherhood and then getting back into my energy healing and meditation, getting my cards all back out and using my cards on a regular basis again, once again going to the oracle cards because that's familiar and that's comforting, and that was something that I could easily connect in with and easily read. I dug my tarot back out and I got back into it. And it actually started flowing a lot easier, and I got really, really involved with the stories because by this time I was really interested in the archetypes, and I was really, really interested in the symbolism. So it was those two things, the symbolism and mainly the archetypes, because I absolutely love working with archetypes, is what drew me back in and got me to really go on that journey of the tarot. And I like the hero's journey, the story of the major arcana is what really drew me in, and how all of the different aspects of that have a story to tell and really connected into our life experiences. So I think that it was important for me to have a bit of that life experience under my belt to be able to connect in with this, because as a teenager I didn't relate to a lot of it, which is okay. So I began reading professionally in 2015, and I was just saying how I was reading in different psychic expos, but I really found alignment with reading for healing. So I really didn't want to read for, divination or what's your future or how many children or when are you getting married. Did not appeal to me at all, and that really was something that I was wanting to distance myself from, that type of reading. And so I renamed it as a service of healing with the tarot, and it was all about doing shadow work with the tarot. And the reason why is because I didn't want to just do a healing, and I just didn't want to do a healing just on anything that could be going on the surface. I wanted to delve down deep into the root cause. I wanted to deal with the roots of why are these feelings happening? Why is this imbalance happening? And I couldn't get to that answer without pulling back some of the layers, illuminating the stuff that was down in the dark, that the person that was in front of me did not know enough to tell me. And I could feel in the energy when I'm doing healing that there is something dark in this space. And to put a name to it, I drew on the tarot, and I used that to be able to draw out what it was that we really needed to address. And so I'm talking about, yeah, we had dark stuff coming up here. We had like deep childhood sexual abuses coming up from stories. Even things that they had pushed down from their generation. Also, this happened to their mother, this happened to their father. These things are coming out in the healings. I can feel it. There's something bad or something negative, something that's hanging on to you in this space. We need to name it to process it and shift it out of you. And so that's why I really loved working with shadow work with the tarot, because it was able to help take our healings to the next level. And it was also something that we could, if you put it on the opposite scale of things, with doing a reading, it also was complementary to then to take what we learned in the reading and then heal and process it through with the energetic work. So that's why we're here together and giving you this tool here. Yeah, so currently I'm supporting mothers with the shadow work journey to heal themselves so they can hold space consciously for their children. So what I'm really passionate about at the moment is to really help the children of now to move into themselves without feeling all of the suppression and the squashed intuition and the self-doubt that comes in when we repress our intuition, repress our gifts, repress our instincts. So the way that we support that, support the children of now that are moving into the new world, is to support the mothers so that we can heal the mothers, you heal the children. We hold space for the mothers, you hold space for the children. So this is the way that I'm working at the moment, is supporting the mothers with shadow work, with holding space for them, with guiding them to be able to find the power of their calm. So tarot is one of the tools that I use to do that, and I want to teach it to you so that you can do it for yourself as well. So a bit more about me. I'm an unschooling mum of 3, so that means my kids are with me all the time. And we're really respectful, and we allow them to make a lot of their own rules. So that means that I've got to do a lot of calibrating of my own space holding so that I don't get whisked away in a lot of their own chaos as they are growing into themselves and working out their own boundaries and their needs as well. I also study naturopathy because I love the old ways of healing naturally. I love herbal medicine, and it's been one of my goals for a long time to be able to heal, have one of these little healing shack where people would come to me with the herbal remedies and advice, and I would be able to help hold the mother while the children run around barefoot and muddy. That's one of my visions for the future. So the other thing that I wanted to add in here is I'm a bit of a metalhead at heart, so I was always into metal music. Now I'm listening to Goddess chants, so a bit of a balance there. My music list is really eclectic. Okay, so our course outline, and what are we doing? We've got six lessons with this tarot series, and so I've broken them down into what is tarot, how do we choose a deck, what are the different spreads for different needs, the hero's journey, the story of the major arcana, the court cards as messengers, so that's like the page, the queen, the king, the suit of pentacles, the suit of wands, the suit of cups, the suit of swords, and how do we read for others. That's what we'll be covering. So I just wanted to add in this quote because I thought it was really a good touchstone for us to move ahead. Tarot is an instrument that reveals the hidden things of the world and makes sense of the visible ones. So this is why we use tarot for shadow work. So the hidden things of the world, these are the things that we push down, we deny, we repress. These are all things that are a part of our shadow, the parts of ourself that we deny, we push them down. So we use tarot as an instrument to draw them out and to make sense of the visible ones. So even things that you are aware of, you can ask the tarot questions like, why is this so? If this is happening, then what will come? Then if this continues to play out the way that it is, then what will be so? There's lots of things that this can relate to. Okay, so lesson 1. Tonight we're going to be zeroing in on what is tarot, how to choose your deck, different spreads for different needs. And this is going to be really in relation to shadow work and using this as like as a basic getting started, different things to add into your rhythm to be able to use tarot on a more regular basis to connect in with yourself. So what is tarot? How are they different to oracle cards? So as I mentioned earlier, I read oracle cards for a long time because I found it really easy. Okay, because oracle cards are cards like, let me see, I've got one out on my desk that I put up. Oracle cards are quite simple. They've got beautiful artistry, so you always want to make sure that you connect in with the artwork. That's something that is really calling to you. They might have some words on the bottom here. So this one says, "White Witch, be the light." So you'd call on a card to give you a bit of guidance. Okay, and it gives you a bit of a theme to stick to, and from that you can really connect into your intuition of what does that feel for you. So you can use them as a bit of a theme, a bit of a prompt, and they're a bit more airy and light and more loving, I'd say. The tarot can be quite a bit more blunt, and that's why I learned to love the tarot, is because when you're getting to the point where you need a solid answer, sometimes you don't want the fluff of the oracle. You want the directness of the tarot. So how they're different, the tarot is a deck of 78 cards. It's got two different parts. The major arcana is made up of 22 cards, and the minor arcana is 56 cards. So the tarot is a system. It's very, very specific in that it tells a story of karmic patterns. It has themes and challenges. It uses different symbolism and archetypal energies. And it can be represented by many different themes, like, let's see, you've got the Rider-Waite deck, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck as a traditional deck, but you've also got other decks that you can call on, like, let me grab some for you, like different themes, the Green Witch Tarot, another one over here, Star Child Tarot. So there's some different themes that you can do, and so the cards of course are different to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the traditional deck that I will show to you soon. I've left it upstairs, which is great, but we've got some pictures in here to show you. So they've got the same types of symbolism. They've got different imagery in there that it might look a bit different to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith cards, but they've got little traits to the images and the artworks of these different decks that really connect back into the symbolism. And it's the symbolism that clicks our intuition into place and brings up some triggers of memories, experiences, and what that means to us. So oracle cards, they can be whatever the artist or the author interprets as a representation of the theme, and they're really independent to each deck. So you can have like your animal spirit oracle. The one that I just showed you was from the angels and ancestors oracle. There's lots of different ones. You've got angels and fairies and goddess ones, lots of different ones that are floating around. You've got just your affirmation ones, lots of different things there. So as you can see, like oracle cards, there would be a lot more, they're a bit more vague, and they're a bit more light and fluffy and make you feel good, whereas tarot is really straight down the line. It's going to tell a story. It's going to direct you with some blunt stories, archetypal energies, and symbolism that really draw you into the important lessons and experiences that come up as life experiences. And yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that. So here is the two different parts to the tarot. There's the major arcana, which actually translates to greater secrets. So they are the cards that are numbered from 0 to 21. So the 0 is the full, all the way up to the card number 21. So there's 22 of them all up in total. And they tell the story of the hero's journey. So we're going to be talking about that in lesson 2. The story of the hero's journey and the archetypes of each of the major arcana, because they signal the major life changes or the influences, the shifts, the transitions that we go through as we are going through the story of life. Okay, so it is if you're doing a reading and you get a major arcana card in your spread, pay attention to that, because that's going to be where the major there's a life shift happening. There's some big up level transformation happening. There's some big influence happening in the life at the moment. It's going to change the path that your life is on. This is not just an everyday he said, she said, something isn't going right. There's a big shift happening. You're transitioning around this aspect. Okay, so that's what you're going to hone in on. You're going to hone in on that major arcana energy. So yeah, they tell the story of the hero's journey. So we'll talk a bit more about that. That's where we've got the cards like the Empress, the Emperor, the High Priestess, the Magician. We meet all of these people on the journey from the Fool all the way through to the World card, and how we evolve in this spiritual enlightenment, the spiritual awakening journey. The Minor Arcana is made up of four suits. So that's your pentacles, your swords, your wands, and your cups. Minor Arcana translates to the lesser secret. So they talk about the day-to-day challenges and triumphs, so things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. So if you've got a spread in front of you that is mainly all Minor Arcana cards, and you can think this is just a day-to-day thing, it's not going to really impact me. If I look back on this in a few months' time, I probably would have forgotten. This is not a big deal. So, of course, it can seem like a big deal when you're in the thick of it, because these things are impacting your day and impacting your life in that moment. But, in the big scheme of things, it's just day-to-day sorting out things, the relationship issues, these types of things as well. So, they have the aces, they have the numbered cards from 2 till 10, plus the court cards as well, which is usually the page, the queen, and the king as well. Okay. So the history of tarot. So tarot was thought to be created in the mid-15th century in Europe, and it was just started as a card game. So here is a picture of one of the most original tarots. And so you can see that from the imagery that are used there, a lot of that imagery has been taken with it today into the traditional decks that are used, like the Rider-Waite-Smith deck that I refer to. It became popular as a tool for divination in the 18th century, which was pretty much just like a game, really. It was just an evolution of the game. As the card game evolved, they started using it to tell fortunes. And then the Rider-Waite-Smith deck was originally published in 1910, and that's the one that's abundant in symbolism, and that's the one that has been adapted and evolved to most of the modern decks that we have today. Another popular tarot style includes Aleister Crowley Thoth, I can't say these words, deck. So that's another style as well, which is different to the Rider-Waite-Smith a bit. I haven't read that one before, so that's just bit different to Rider-Waite-Smith. I really connect to the symbolism in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So that's what I'm going to be showing you and teaching you in this series. Oops, let's go. Okay, so using the tarot. So these are the questions that I get asked a lot about tarot. So using tarot, is it evil? What is it going to open up the doorway from? And it does have a lot, like some people have a lot of fear attached to the tarot, that if they start using them, what are they opening themselves up to? Do they need to put protection on before doing it? And something that I want to really make clear to you is that tarot cards are not magic. They're not evil. The only energy they hold is the energy that you infuse them with. So of course, if you've, once you get a deck, you can really connect in with them. So let's talk about connecting with your deck. So how do I connect with my deck if I get a new one? First of all, I will probably meditate with it firstly. I'll ask the deck questions, like what is its purpose, what's its job for me, like what's its role, what's it here to help me with, because if you've got a few different decks, you can have different decks for different things. Maybe if you've just got one, then you can say, what's it here to teach you? And so you can connect with it by asking it questions. You can connect your deck with your deck by meditating with it and giving it an intention. Say, this is the journey that I'm on. Do you want to help me? You can connect to your deck by putting it like the crystals, like we charge our bodies in circle. You can charge your deck under the energy of the full moon, to charge it, to cleanse it of any energy that it's had from, being published and being sitting on a shelf and lots of different people in the bookshelf touching it. If you've got it secondhand, you can smudge it, like be cleansing it with herbal cleansers. Cleansing it with energy, white light energy, whatever you want to do, but you can cleanse your decks so that it creates a bond to you and your energy. Okay, I bring my decks into circle if I've got a new one, and it can sit in circle with me, and I don't necessarily have to use it while I'm in circle, but just having it there with me, it gets the rawness of what I'm going through. It gets the rawness of me being open and vulnerable, and it gets to know me just by listening. Yes, my decks, I will feel like that they're holding energy and they can listen. So although they are just pieces of cardboard, they are a tool that we can unlock our intuition. Okay, and everything is energy. So they're a tool that we use to unlock our intuition. Their symbolism triggers our memories. Their symbolism, their imagery, they really can draw on our impressions and the expansions of our current reality. That's why if you're looking at something that you absolutely feel really drawn into this artwork, it works with art. That's why it works with oracle cards that have beautiful imagery, is that when we are looking into these things, it unlocks our impressions, our expansions on what is currently going through us. Okay, now let's see. So yeah, intuition is something that everyone is capable of. We're all born with innate intuition, which is what our gut instinct is, our body intelligence. It tells us, if you're in danger or if you need to move, you get those chills up your spine. That's your innate intuition that everybody has. We also have a different type of intuition, which is called our heart intelligence. And that's something that we can all grow like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. When you dedicate and practice with your intuition and give it space to open, then you can grow your heart intelligence. And this is where we want to unlock that aspect of your intuition by practicing to allow your intuition to draw on these triggers, these impressions, and these expansions. Okay, allow it some space to unlock. So definitely give yourself time to practice. So as I was saying, using tarot as a part of your ritual self-care is, for me, every Sunday night, Monday morning, I will draw some cards. If I am needing to go a bit deeper, it might be usually around the new moon, I will do a full spread, like a Celtic cross reading. I will do that if I am going through something heavy. I need to get to the bottom of my shadows and where this has come from, where is it taking me, where can I look out for anything that's going to steer me off my path, my true path. So you can do a full reading whenever you want, but just make a ritual of when you can do it. So for my ritual, I make it really easy so that I can do it all the time, is that I will, without a doubt, pull at least one card and put it up on my altar for the whole week. And that's the card that I will live by for that week. Okay, and you can do that so as a daily practice. There was a time then when I was getting really familiar with the tarot again. So if you are wanting to embrace tarot as a part of your journey, you're wanting to learn it and move back into this practice, or starting a relationship with the tarot, then I would strongly suggest doing a daily practice, which is something that I did, where you draw a card, or you don't have to draw it intuitively, picking up random ones. You can actually go through card by card if you want to do it systematically, and do one card every day and say, I'm going to embody this card, or I'm going to see where the lessons of this card show up in my day. And so just is drawing your attention to the energy of the card. You're being mindful of the card and every thought that you can have during that day. If you journal on that and say every day, let's say I've got the Two of Cups, so I can think, where am I giving more to partnerships and relationships and understanding people around me. So, you can take a card and journal with it and have a practice every day. And then the next day you wake up and you'll choose a different card and you can journal on that, or just have it with you or think about it all day. Or if you want to just do it with a full moon reading, you can do full moon readings, new moon readings. Just make it part of your ritual, like just make it something that's going to work for you. So just doing a full reading on the moon is a great way to connect in with your shadows and what you are shifting, what are you releasing, what are you moving into. Okay, and definitely journal what arises for you. The more intimately you work with it, the stronger your knowings will get. So that's where I said practice, practice, practice. So let's see, we've gone through that one. Choosing your deck. So when choosing a deck, it's really going to be about letting your intuition guide you. So the deck that's best for you is the one that you connect with. So I've got a few different pictures here, if you can see on the screen, about a few different decks. So this one up in the top corner here, where you can see the world with the pawn of the devil, that's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Really traditional imagery, really strong in symbolism. And that's the card that I use on the weekly reading, and I put it up on the windowsill in my kitchen so that I see it all the time, and I reminded myself to stay in the energy of that card or pay attention to the messages of that card to keep me on track. These are a few different other styles of tarot. Over here we have the Star Child Tarot, and this one over here is, I think it's the Everyday Witch, I think. And I've forgotten the name of the other deck. Should have written that one down. But there's a few different, of course, themes and styles that you can go with the tarot. So you can choose whatever one really calls to your energy at the time. And it's going to be most important that you connect with the imagery, that you connect with the colors and the style of the drawings, because that is what's going to help you to ignite your intuition. Okay, when you are really caught up in those, the feelings that you attach to the cards. Okay, so have a think about the colors that they use, the theme, that if the theme aligns with you. Like if you're not into witches, then don't get the Everyday Witch one, these types of things. If you don't like the colors in the Star Child, then that's going to really turn you off. Have a think about these things. And start with that deck and see how it feels. And sometimes you'll have different decks for different moods or different types of readings. Like I always have the Rider-Waite is for my own personal shadow work, and that's because I just really connect with the symbolism in there. But it's not something that I would really use to do with a client reading. I really like to use the Star Child Tarot for my client readings, just because the energy is a lot more softer, but I can still really relate, and I can draw out this. It's got a lot more subtlety in the imagery, so it doesn't have pictures of people being stabbed in the back and tied up and bound and killed. So it's a lot softer and a lot less confronting when working with people in that space, but I can still see the subtleties in the imagery that call on the stronger themes that come with that particular card. So I can still draw out those aspects, even though the imagery is a lot more gentler. So you'll have whichever way is calling to you. Different decks call on different moods, different types of readings. You might have a deck that you always go to for, relationship readings. You might have a deck that you always go to for career or business readings, and one that's for you, just your personal stuff that you don't read for anybody else. It's just for you. That's my Rider-Waite. Okay, so sometimes you can outgrow a deck that was once your old favorite as well, and remember, that's okay too. You don't have to stick with one forever, and sometimes they'll just stop working for you. Sometimes you'll just think, I have no connection with this anymore. This is just not making sense, and I just feel out of touch with it, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're broken or your intuition is broken. It just means just shuffling around and try a different deck, because sometimes we outgrow things, sometimes we just lose connection with things, and that's okay. Just try something different. Always evolving and changing. Okay, so some different spreads for different needs. So the most basic reading that I will encourage you to give a go first, which is how I was talking about doing it with the one card reading every Sunday night if you wish. The single card reading is great if you're after just a yes no answer, or so like, this is a problem, what should I do about this? You can just do a one card. Okay, good. That's given me a bit of guidance around that. It can point you in the direction that you need to go, or move yourself out of a situation, like what do I do about this, or how do I approach this? You could just get a one card answer and just real quick move in this direction. Okay, so that's a beauty of a single card reading. It's really quick, really direct. It can be and there's so many different ways to read them. When we go into each different card, I'll be able to give you that answer, but let me just draw one out of this box here. Let's open it up. Just going to grab one randomly. So this is the Hanging Man, but it's the Oak King. You can tell he's a Hanging Man because of the number and because of the way he is positioned, standing or hanging from the tree like this. Okay, so it can be that, if you're thinking about a situation and what do I do about this situation, and just picking up that card, you think, what is that initial response that you get coming through your body when you draw this one in? I wasn't actually thinking of any situation when I drew this, but the initial response was just like, oh, you, why you? So sometimes you get a one card answer and it's just like, okay, so I'm feeling uncomfortable with this. And then it just gives you, that's a bit of an opening for your journaling as well. As that's that hanging in between, or you need a new perspective. You need to take a step back and get a stronger view of this situation. So you can read it for many different ways to read one card. Okay, so a 3-card reading. So you can do a 3-card reading to see a whole, a bit of a broader view of a situation. So this is really a popular reading, and it's a good one for beginners to start with, where you would do something like 1, 2, 3 would be past, what was it like before? Present, what am I dealing with now? Future, how will it be if things continue in the way that they're going? Okay, so that's just going to lie out. If things continue the way they're going, what's the past, the present, and the future? And this could be many different things. I often like doing this one as maiden, mother, crone energy. So the maiden energy would be the, like, what am I learning? The mother is, what am I embracing? And the crone is like, what have I learned and known that I can let go of? Okay, so another way you could do it is things like mind, body, spirit, like physical, intellectual, spiritual. You could also do it as relationships, as like, this is them, this is our relationship, like us working together, and this is me. This is all of us together. And you can do that as a romantic, or you can do it for yourself and your boss. You can do it for yourself and your children, yourself and your business, whatever it is. But you can do a relationship like you yourself, this entity over here by itself. What do they represent separately? And then together, what is the dynamic? So doing the 3 like that. You can also do that as a 2 and then reading the story of the 2 together. There's a few different other things that could be through that. I'm trying to think. Other 3-card readings. I'll leave it at that for now. If we can have a discussion about this to say if you've got any more that you do. You could do the 3 cards that are like in this Celtic cross spread. So you can see, like, the 1 is underneath the 2. So the 5 to the 1 to the 6 is the 1 being the current situation or the present. And then the 5 is the past, and the 6 is the future. And then you could move it around. So the other Celtic cross energy is the 1, keeping it as your present situation. And then the 4, I read that as the underneath, is the below, and the shadow. What are you repressing? So you could do it as, what am I repressing? What am I representing? And 3 as the above is the what am I projecting? What are you putting out into the world? So I'm going to talk a bit more about that Celtic cross spread. And tell you how I read it. So the Celtic cross spread is my favorite spread for delving into the shadow work, and it's the spread that I use when I do my one-on-one with my clients. So what I use is that the way you ask the questions, I'm going to go into a lot more detail on reading cards as well as we move through our lessons, but I'll give you a bit of an insight while we've got some. How much time do we have? Got a bit more time, so I can go into it a little bit for you. So the one, when I'm drawing the cards, I will go, one is the heart of the matter. What is the heart of the matter? And then the two, which is the one that goes across on the top, is what's challenge? What is the challenge that I'm facing? Okay, so that's crossing your heart. What's crossing your heart? The challenge. And then the three is, what am I projecting? So that's the above. What am I projecting into the world? What is the universe hearing from me? What is the universe hearing? What am I putting out there into the world? What is the message that I'm sending? And then four is down below. That's where I was talking about the shadow self. What am I repressing? What's in the shadow that I need to acknowledge at this point in time? What is in the shadow that I need to be bringing up and into healing, processing? The five is what was before. And look, that's looking at the past few months and what's led me to this point. What have I been through to get to this point here? Then the six is, if this was to continue, if I was to continue with this in my shadow, not recognizing and acknowledging it or processing it, if I was to continue projecting this message that I'm sending out into the universe, if I was to continue on this path with my heart in this space and this issue challenging me, the six is where I will be. That is, where am I heading? What am I walking into? What is about to knock me over? Pretty much, that's what it comes down to. That's the six. So that's usually it's I don't really want to see where that's going. I would like to change things before we get to that point. I think I need to do some work. So you can just do that first part of the Celtic cross spread if you want. You could just do the 6 cards and leave it at that, because that will give you the heart of the matter, your challenge, what you're oppressing, what you're projecting, where you've been and where you're going. And you could think, okay, I accept it. This is where we're talking in the guilt. You can either have that choice. You can go, okay, I've sat with it, I've sat with it, I've sat with it. I see it. Now I've got the choice. Do I accept this outcome of number 6, where I'm heading? Am I accepting of this, or do I want to make a choice to change? Okay, so then if you don't want to be continuing on this path, if that story has worked out that it's not actually in alignment for your highest good, you want to make some changes. You want to do better than what that outcome is saying that things are going to go for you. So we make some changes. And that's the side, the 7, 8, 9, 10, is the actions that you can take to support your change. This is your toolkit. And this is the best thing about this, is the Celtic cross spread gives us our tools of how we can move out of it. So the 7 for me represents hopes or fears. So it's really going to be depending on what comes up in this card. Is it a hope or is it a fear? And you got to read that intuitively. You will know when you see it, whether it is a hope or a fear, but it's something that you need to be aware of, because if it's, in most cases, it comes up for me as it's a fear. It's a fear that you need to acknowledge. It's a self-limiting belief, usually. Okay. So what is a self-limiting belief that you need to be acknowledging at this point in time? 8. What are the external influences? The external influences are things that could be coming at you which will throw you off path. So things that you may feel are outside of your control. So this could be somebody else's influence over you. So you can look at that and think, yeah, I'm going to be aware that somebody else is going to try and maneuver this or make it work in their favor instead. And I'm going to have a strong boundary because we're clashing around this. Or it might be that I need to be able to be aware that if this is to happen, if this is to come into my energy, then I need to be aware that it has the power to perhaps tempt me to go off track. Okay, so this is just what are we going to be aware of coming in to push us off our path. The number 9 is, here's number 9. you in your ultimate power. This is your superpower. This is your strength. This is an innate power. This is something that is already within you. This is something that you know how to activate. This is something that is a special gift within you that you have forgotten that you have, and you haven't been implementing it. But it's something that you can draw on in this moment to help lift you out of the where you're going and direct you up into your 10. 10 is your ultimate outcome, or your highest potential. Okay, so 10 is your highest potential, and this is like where you could ultimately be. This is what your highest self sees you as. Okay, or it could be, if there's something in there that's a challenge to you, it's that, your highest self sees that you have overcome so much and you have the strength to be at this point. Okay, so 10 is your highest potential, and we want to be able to get from where you are, skip over the 6 and get to the 10. Okay, so that's why I do a Celtic cross spread when I'm doing my deep shadow work, is because it gives me the tools that I need to be able to get out of my funk, which is usually the 6. Don't want to be going in that circle. Don't want to be sitting in that. I want to be able to expand and grow. And that's where we go with the 10 all the way up there. Okay, using those tools. And yeah, let's see. So we're at our discussion point now. So there's some questions here that I would love for you to journal on. Okay, so if you're watching this back on the replay, I would love for you to journal and then let us know in the healing ground what's come up for you after doing lesson 1. So what feelings come up for you when you think about exploring the tarot? Is it exciting? Is it complicated? Do you get this feeling that, I can't remember all of this. This is too hard, which is what I had. Do you get feelings that come up like this is a bit scary? What am I opening up the door with? Is this safe? What am I doing? I'm not intuitive enough. All of these not enough. These things, these fears, these blocks. What comes up for you when you think about exploring tarot? Is it exciting? Do you want to learn more? Do you want more? Any resistance or stories that hold you back from reading? Do you already read tarot? Is it something that you already do, or is it something that you have done in the past and you have stopped yourself and not been practicing, and it's something you want to get back into and build a stronger relationship, a stronger connection with it? And how do you weave tarot into your rhythm of ritual self-care to address your shadow self? So how would you do it? How do you do it at the moment, and how would you like to? What would you see yourself doing? Okay, so I'd love for you to take this away and journal on that. Our next lesson coming is the hero's journey, the story of the major arcana. So I look forward to bringing that to you soon. Okay. Hello. Let me see.